Hi folks, Mark Seljan, and this video is all about the slingshot shooting basics. Okay, so there will be nothing fancy, but I try to cover all the aspects of how to start slingshot shooting and basically the easiest steps to learn it. Okay, so come on with me. If you are interested in slingshot shooting, the best if you make the easy access and carve something for yourself or buy something that is available. Okay, so do not spend too much focus on purchasing all stuffs. It is the best if you make it possible to start the journey. Okay, once you have the basics and the benefit and first steps, you can move on, make decisions much better that is suitable for you. Safety is important. Safety is not just an issue of avoiding injury. If you feel yourself safe, then you will be much more relaxed about shooting. Okay? Unconsciously, if there is a chance that you can hurt yourself or you can injure someone, it will generate an excitement inside you, and that will ruin your shots. Okay? Believe me, at the beginning, the safety is not just a stuff that you want to maintain to avoid trouble. It is not just avoiding injuries. It is feel yourself in a secured, optimal position of shooting. For safety, when you pick a glass, you want to make sure there's enough free clearance at the cheek area, because as you pull out the shot, this might be in the way of the shooting. Okay, so make sure that the glass has a narrow ending. Before you actually start shooting, you have to keep in mind a couple steps. Every time when you perform a shot, it is a chain of tiny controlled movements. And for example, one shot may take 20 seconds from loading, preparing, releasing, and everything. Imagine that every second you have to perform multiple tasks, 3-4 different tiny tasks for corrections, vision, sight, clearance, make sure that everything is safe, focusing on the breathing. These are, and we have 20 seconds full of these tiny micro adjustments of movements. Most of the beginners try to learn them at the same time, but it's not working that way. Okay, this is why you have to practice, and when you start practicing, you have to practice these in chunks. Okay, because you can only keep at focus a couple different movements, but not all of them, only a segment of these movements. By default, start with the first thing, posture. Okay, it's not a necessity to show the legs, because legs are shoulder apart, a little bit wider sometimes. Feet can point a little bit outside, but that's it basically. You don't want to bend or lean or anything. Okay, the best if you maintain a straight back. Okay, this is like just straight back, simple, because over time this is the easiest to maintain. Alright, so if you're shooting for 1 hour, 2 hours, it is the easiest to always pick up this same simple position. And optimally, if the target is the camera lens, optimally you are put yourself in the line of the aiming. Alright, so everything is in a nice line, and you don't bend too much. Okay, don't lean, you don't lean back, and don't lean to the forward direction. Alright, and you have to keep in mind to always check your posture, because as you are influenced, as you are overwhelmed with too much information, too much thing to focus on, you will switch from the good posture to a bad one. Alright, it happens many times, but the body does it unconsciously. Alright, so for example, at the first hour you start shooting like this in a straight up position, and as time passes you will find yourself in shooting like this. Okay, because you're tired, or because you're afraid of your own shot, or because you're not feeling secure, or your hand's not strong enough. Okay, so keep in mind, when every time in a shot, spend a second to revisit and review your own posture and making sure that, alright, I'm balanced, spine is straight, everything, and do not make any crazy stuff. Keep in mind that the most optimal way, if you are in line with the target line, is it possible to shoot this way when your chest is facing to the target? Yes, it is possible. Is it optimal? No. It's depending on many factors, but you just have to remember that it is better and much more accurate if you are keep yourself in line with the aiming line, okay? Something like this. Alright? So please check, don't face with the chest to the target. Try to make it in line with the aiming. When you start practicing, start with the simple draw, okay? No ammo is needed. Just grab your slingshot, hook your finger into the pouch, okay, and pull it out a couple times, just to get used to the draw force that you have to generate. And this one is good for one thing, to practice the safe draw. So when you draw this out, just look. Okay, hands up, and I draw away from my face. And when I completed the draw, so everything is at the max, I lift this up, now I aim, and then I can release. Okay, so for your safety, if the bands are breaking, if the tubes are breaking, or anything happens at the slingshot, you don't want that to come into your face. Okay, so this is why we make this little trick. Pulling, it's at the safe max level, I can move it away anyway, and when I'm satisfied, I can place it to the head, and that is the aiming position. Okay, so practice it a couple times. Pull, lift, pull, lift, pull, lift. When you make these draws, observe yourself and keep in mind your shoulders needs to be relaxed, okay? It is true for both, right? So pull it out and make sure you're not jerking, you're not twisting your shoulders, okay? Make sure that everything is relaxed, down, your chest is open up, and then, okay? Now we already have 3 different steps. We have the stance, we have the draw, the safety movement, that draw and lift stance, and we also have the shoulder part, okay? And so this is a good practice chunk, alright? So stance, pointing out, this is a target, pointing out, check it. Make sure that everything is in line. Make sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Then pull it out. Then lift it up to the aiming position. And then checking that everything is in line. The frame and the way you hold the frame is very important for the accuracy. Pointing, right, I'm pulling it out, lifting it up, and what you have to check is the angle of the slingshot, okay? Still no ammo, absolutely no ammo. We are just practicing the fundamental stuff to learn this, okay? This angle is crucial. You have to keep it perpendicular to the target, okay? So perpendicular. This is one whole system, right? If you don't know how to do this, make a simple test. Look and stand beside a mirror, and before you actually looking into the mirror, just pull it out. And once you have this completed, then look at the mirror and check yourself and make corrections if necessary. Alright? And once you have the correction, look at it again. Alright? Close your eyes and try to memorize the feeling. Okay, believe me, it is different for every slingshot. Okay, nothing is the same. So every time you have a new slingshot, it's a good idea to go at the mirror and check it, how it's, what's the angle and how it feels. All right, so try to get it visually, then checking in the mirror, looking back, closing your eyes, try to memorize the feeling. And once you have this, you can make the next step to hold the ammo in the pouch, and once you have that pouch feeling, then you can start shooting with a great effective way. For the pouch, this is a very short band set. Okay, so if you buy a slingshot, I'm sure that will come with a much longer band set. You don't have to shorten it up, you don't have to tighten it up when you start shooting. Okay, for practicing, that's just fine. Once you are used to the draw force, used to the draw length, used to make these adjustments, then you can make it shorten up, and it will be much more powerful. But when you start, you just want to focus on the movements and not really on the power. Power will come later on. Okay, ammunition. This is a quite rusty ball. Maybe I have to pick up another one. Okay, it's a little bit better. So, as you see, we have a center hole. Is it visible? Yes, it is visible now. The center hole, I really do like the center hole idea, but please make sure you do not shoot stones from these type of pouches. If you want to shoot stones, rocks, you have to look for a different size pouch without the center hole. The center hole needs to be matched to the ammunition. Okay, it's not you have some kind of a bowl and you have some kind of a pouch and you have a center hole and that will make perfect match. No. Okay, so for example, this is a 10mm bowl and this is about a 5-6mm center hole. Usually the center hole is about from 50 to 70% of the overall diameter. Okay, you don't have to be super accurate, but there's a range you want to look for. So when you load the pouch, usually you're loading with this finger, and then you grab it something like this. Okay, now here we go for the most exciting part. How to grab the pouch and why you want to grab it that way. Okay, now I'm turning it sideways, and let me show something. If you grab the pouch, maybe it's visible like this. Okay, it's absolutely upside down, but it will be visible a little bit better. You just create raining. I have to go somewhere, but one moment. Okay, so under the cherry tree now. Back to the topic. You want to do this, you want to perform this type of grab. When you grab on the ball, not in front of, on the ball. Okay? As you see, when I draw it, when I apply some force, the pouch is slightly opening up. And this way, if you grab on the ammunition and not in front of the ammunition, this acts like a hinge. Okay? And this hinge movement is very, very cool for self-alignment. About the release. The release is not that complicated, but it's not an active type of movement. Releasing is like a relaxation of the hand. Okay, so just without any special type of stuff. I'm pulling it out. There's a huge blanket, a backstop. So actually I have no any target. I just have this big blanket in front of me. And I'm pulling it out. And I don't do anything, just let the ammunition go. Okay? So my hand will stay still even after I release the pouch. Just take a look. Okay? So nothing, no extra movements. There's a gentle movement in the back position because you release and the forces will automatically generate that stuff. But there's no like pulling movement like this, an explosive movement. This is just natural stuff. You actually do this. You actually just let this muscle, let the ammunition go. Okay, so there's no opening movement. There's no something like this. This is just relaxing and the pouch will automatically release. We already have a range of different movements. Okay, we know the stance, we have the shoulder relaxing, we have the pointing, we have the in line with the target. Okay, then we have the alignment of the slingshot. We also have the ammunition, the loading. By the way, you can practice loading while watching TV, spending some time with that. Okay, it's a good idea. And I'm right-handed, but I'm shooting on a switch way, so it's also a good idea to practice these simple movements for both directions. A lot of people shooting better this way or that way, but you have to spend some time with it. Okay, you might be surprised about this. Okay, just practice it. So loading is okay. I'm grabbing on the ammunition. Okay, on the ammunition, hinge is working. I also know what safety, again, so stance, posture, in line, pointing, pulling it out, not to my face. Now when it's pulled out, everything is safe. I lift this up, look for the anchor point, and release. No active stuff, and then going back. Okay, so this is one cycle. A question. In many times, when a beginner starts to shooting, the timing is not the same. So this cycle is performed in from 10 seconds to 30 because, loading, there's a wind, I'm excited, and this will change the cooling time as well. What is this cooling time? The band has its surface, and when you pull this out, this surface will dissipate heat, and the band is cooling down. When the band is cooling down, it will lose energy. Okay, so if you're holding this position for too much time, there's a huge difference between holding it for 3 seconds and holding it for 15 seconds. Your shot will be accelerated with much less energy. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that it's a good idea to try to keep a rhythm, to try to keep a pace for yourself. If this pace is standardized, that means you will hit better time after time. Okay, so you can actually count, or if you want, you can listen to music, or just thinking on something, or just start breathing and focusing on the breathing, like, okay, deep breath, inhale, pulling, here we have the ammo, I'm exhaling and inhaling again, and then I'm lifting up and exhaling and stopping a bit, stopping, release, rest is out, and here we go. So for example, I had 3 cycles of inhale and exhale. Okay, so this is a different trick. Some people like to count, some people don't like to do anything, some people like to focus on the breathing, some like to focusing only the hold time, so some people don't care about loading time and everything. It's up to you, but it's a good idea to try to standardize these movements. Come on, this guy just talking, but I want to hit the target, and I want to aim, and I want to shoot quarters in the air, and we'll have to do that. So, first things first, you have to know a thing. This is a biological, physical fact. that your brain is not able to multitasking, not the way you think. Actually, when you thinking of multitasking, this is nothing else, just a quick switching from task to task. So the brain is capable to switch very, very fast, but it is not capable to actually do two things simultaneously. Okay, scientifically I'm wrong, because it can. For example, you can walk and talk, but you're not capable to always try to focus on every important steps in one simultaneous event. To get the most effective solution from this, you might want to try to all these tiny movements practice so much to become natural. And this is the key. So when you practice something for 1,000 times, your body will learn it so effective that you don't have to keep that in mind. This is called muscle memory. So you will be able to perform a task without actually thinking on that task. Alright? But you can't do that if you haven't practiced the stance, if you haven't practiced the inline, if you haven't practiced the breathing a little bit, if you haven't practiced the loading. If you have too many things to do at the same time, you won't be able to focus on the most exciting stuff, hitting the target. Okay, so first you have to release yourself from all these boring stuff. Practice them, practice the drawing, practice the loading, practice pouch, practice stance and everything. And then, once you're ready with that, you can put on the target. It might be a couple days, it might be a couple weeks. And it is always a good idea if you switch different slingshots. It's always a good idea to go through this quickly. Okay? Don't get me wrong, you don't have to practice it for years. You have a new slingshot, it's always a good idea to look back at the safety, look back at the practice, alright? And especially if you make your own slingshot, you have to test it, okay? And testing is the nasty stuff, okay? So sometimes you have to wear gloves and everything, but keep in mind, first thing first, these tiny movements, and once you have the tiny movements, then you can go into much more complicated stuff about the aiming and everything. Okay, I have a couple aiming tips as well. Just be prepared. At the first step, actually don't aim any specialties. You don't want to frustrate yourself. The first step is to build up confidence. Okay, you have to be secure, you have to be relaxed, and you have to be satisfied. Once you start shooting at targets, you will be frustrated, okay? So you want to avoid that. This is why you have to indicate and implement and develop your skills in tiny steps. Alright, I don't need now because it's... yeah, the sky is cast now. Okay, so the next thing, my suggestion is to shoot steels or shoot marbles, everything that is shiny, and try to look for a position where you can follow the path of the ammunition. And this is one reason why I suggest to start with light bands. Okay, light bands, easy to draw, easy to hold the position, easy because the ammunition is not that fast, so you can follow it with your eye. Okay, it's not a bad idea. Many people like, oh, power, power, power. Okay, but you have to build up the skills to get to the power. Okay, don't tell them to the secret. Okay, don't tell them that you have to start with a low draw force. Let them suffer. Okay, so, okay, seriously. So you want to start on a very big target at first, like a whole blanket. Then the next step is to put an A4 paper, a magazine size paper, and shoot paper at the first. Because the next step is focus on the grouping. Okay? you want to look for the scatter. If the scatter is this big, you have a problem with your fundamentals, okay? So because somewhere you're making wrong the pouch hold, or you're making wrong the time. So for example, you have fluctuations in the time of the hold, or you have stance problems or something similar. You're bending back and forth, or your hand is tired. Alright, so paper is optimal to show the results, to show the scatter, and the slow ammo that you can follow in the fly is helping a lot to make your own corrections. I don't know if you are aware of, but in every training you have a starting point. Okay, I will use the sky to draw the graph. This is a bell curve. So you start somewhere here, warming up, then you will be a little bit better. You will reach at the maximum, and then it will slowly going down. Okay, so when you start shooting, for example, you're shooting about an hour. That's a good way to shoot about an hour. To start to thinking of shooting sessions and not just, I will go out and shoot for 20 minutes. It's a good idea if you start shooting for longer hours, because it helps you to building up that higher period. Okay, so first dialing in, then performance level, and then it drops. Okay, this is common for most of the beginners. This is common for the first time. You start, and after the warming up, you have about 30, 50 shots, quite good averages, then it will be a disaster. Alright? Don't forget, you have to, it is a focusing, it is stressful for your body. You have to focus. You have to use those tiny muscles. If you have a bigger draw force, it is even harder to do this. So give the time to the body to adapt. Okay? Both mentally and both physically. So don't be surprised. You will have a peak with 20 super shots in 1 hour. It might happen. Absolutely. In the beginning, it's a common thing, I think. But once you're much more practiced, this will smooth out, and your bell curve will look like, okay, warming up, starting already higher, and then peak point, and it's you can maintain it for 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes, and then it will drop, of course. Okay? The key: focus on the fundamentals. Once you have the basics, and your group is tighter and tighter, then you can look for the aiming stuff, then you can look for the more advanced and more powerful stuff, but basically that is it. Okay? I hope it helped. Rain is cruel to me, so I have to go. I'll see you next time. Bye.